It is Sunday afternoon in New York City. We are bracing for the cold. We are about to get snow dumped upon us, but it is me, Joe Walkowski, the professional gambler, coming to you on the Props Network with the daily NBA stream. Now, let's talk about yesterday. Can we sum it up a little bit? Yesterday, of course, we went 2-1. We did have a bad beat on the Blazers game thanks to a questionable jump ball call with about 5 seconds left that gave the Blazers the victory ultimately. But you can't really go quibbling when Damian Lillard had, two Damian Lillard moments back to back. More power to him. And, shouts to him for carrying the Blazers right now. That rotation is depleted. Gary Trent Jr. stepping up, and a good Bulls team. Yeah, I said a good Bulls team because in my mind, they're a playoff team. Clawed back, made it a game. And in the other side of the coin, we saw just a great game. We marked our calendars to look in on it. Celtics and Lakers, fantastic. We saw Jason Tatum probably make the play of the season. We saw a great all-around game and a sloppy last possession from the Celtics. Wow, these Eastern teams are coming along nicely. I was really impressed with Jaylen Brown, which is the case for most Celtics games lately. And Daniel Tice is being used to score a bit more. But 2-1 yesterday. But Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory? When, Charlie hasn't yet found the golden ticket and he's talking about, he sees someone on TV who's found one. And he's like, oh, I bet the chocolate tastes terrible. That's what the golden ticket makes the chocolate become. Terrible. And I kind of had that with the NBA last night. Like, I was excited to watch these games. I was really just gunning to get into it. And as we're ending the 8 o'clock slot, we are just hightailing it towards a bunch of really fun finishes. We're approaching the ending line. And then I get my lottery ticket. The Lions traded Matthew Stafford to the Los Angeles Rams for the tune of 2 first-round picks, 1 third-round pick, and a 1 Jared Goff. However, I will say that our GM scouted Jared Goff. He pounded the table to draft Jared Goff. And this is a team that needs a starting quarterback. This is a team that needs a fresh start and 5 first-round picks over the first 3 seasons. Like, let's be real. The Lions have a new GM. Shouts to Brad, the captain. And his first decision as GM is the best haul in Lions history. I'm overjoyed. And I didn't even care that I had a thrilling cover in the Celtics game. I didn't care that I had bad beats in the Bulls and Blazers games. And I didn't care that I had a bad beat in that Dallas Suns under. Although the Suns did take care of business for me. I'm riding for them. So I was just too distracted. Too much was coming in. The Lions have a haul. And you know what? I just want to point out one thing before we get into the NBA for today. I am a bit of a Detroit Lions historian. And the 2 other instances in which the franchise jettisoned the face of operations, Calvin Johnson and Barry Sanders, a under-the-radar Detroit Lions team actually rallied and made the postseason. And given how I think Chicago and Minnesota are going to age in the NFC North, given that Jared Goff is competent and he'll be like playing in a scheme where it's actually about DeAndre Swift in a surprisingly good O-line, you know what? I think the Lions have a chance at 9-7 next year with the last place schedule. And I'm going to be taking a flyer on them to make the postseason at probably like plus 450 odds. So you can book that. Now let's get into the day. Shouts to all my viewers. You guys have been so fun lately. You guys have been so chatty, and I've been enjoying just getting down to the nitty-gritty for what you guys are concerned about. So if you have anything, feel free to tag me on the YouTube pages or Twitter or Instagram. I am always at the battle stations. I am quarantined, so I'm happy to look up any of your statistical, NBA, or gambling inquiries. So I think today is hipster NBA Christmas, and we've had games that we want to have fun with throughout the week. There was a lot of good Lakers actions versus Celtics versus Sixers, like really just marquee matchups. And as gamblers, I think we want to be looking ahead to the postseason the entire time, because a big part of about whether or not we'll have a successful postseason depends on how we're going to handicap these first couple of rounds in the playoffs between the 3 and 6 and 4 and 5 seeds. And I think there's a couple key matchups that really allow us to get a feel for the individuals. So let's start with the Utah Jazz at the Denver Nuggets. I'm sorry, it's very close. It's a 3:30 tip-off, so it's a little bit close to the stream time. Yeah, Utah's the hottest team in the NBA. They are just killing everyone, and I'm thinking about those playoff series prices as people are jumping on the Utah bandwagon, and there is a lot to like. I mean, so we see this line. It opened Jazz +1. Now it's Nuggets +2.5. And that's by virtue of how hot the Jazz are. Like Mike Conley, for all of the punchlines his contract created last year, he has one of the best plus minuses in the NBA. I don't know if it's like he's right there now, but he's among the league leaders. The same is true for Rudy Gobert and Quinn Snyder. He just has a way to really maximize every single player on this team. It's a well-run organization that even was able to withstand the change in ownership without a blip, although I do think they will eventually regret that Rudy Gobert contract. And like when people talk about what the Jazz's long-term abilities to contend in the West, they're like, oh, they have an answer for Anthony Davis in Rudy Gobert. And that's probably true. I mean, the league has suddenly gotten bigger, and a Jazz roster that seemed out of touch when the Warriors were running rampant over the league now seems a little bit prescient and prepared to take on the Titans of both conferences. Now that we see some of the Eastern teams and Jokic ascend, but there is a fatal flaw in it. Who are the best players in the league right now? Granted, I'll probably put Anthony Davis in the one spot. That's just me. But LeBron, Kawhi, KD, these are the guys who dominate the ball and swing games in the NBA Finals, the Western and Eastern Conference Finals. And look at this Jazz roster. Do you see a perimeter defender able to match up with any of these guys? What, you're throwing Royce O'Neal? He's undersized. You're throwing Bogdanovich? He can't defend them. You're throwing Derek Favors? No, you don't have an option. If your rotation would be vastly improved by adding a rugged, versatile defender like a Stanley Johnson type, I'm not really going to be bullish on your long-term prospects. And that being said, they're playing Denver. In Denver, they're able to test this hypothesis for me today because I mentioned all these great shot-creating forwards. And does Denver have a great shot-creating forward? Did Michael Porter Jr. put up 30? Are they really struggling to incorporate Jamal Murray because he might be the most talented scorer on the Nuggets team? I don't see an answer for him on this Jazz lineup defensively. I think the teams are pretty even without that. They're both like amazingly coached. Malone, Snyder, both should be in the Coach of the Year category basically every year. But yeah, I really don't see them any accounting for that variable on the Jazz. How do you match up with perimeter players on the opposition? How do Durant and Kawhi and LeBron not really torch you guys? And I think that's just something I was thinking about all day yesterday. And I don't really look ahead at the schedule. I look in the morning. Those are the games I'm going to talk about. And I was so excited to see Michael Porter matched up against Utah. And that being said, I'm going to take Denver with the small forward apocalypse hypothesis here. That's why I think maybe Denver and maybe Phoenix are a little bit built to go further in the playoffs than their competitors in the middle of the East. Ooh, we've got a bot talking to me. Do I want to become famous? Buy followers, primes, and viewers on bigfollows.com. Sam, buy me some views on bigfollows.com. It's the least you can do for me. All right, he's doing it. And you know, this fun day of matchups, it's a two-parter, because one of the more fun discussions that you could have on a bar stool, if you were allowed in a bar, would be, what are the best pair of assets in the East? Is it Embiid and Simmons? Is it Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum? Is it maybe even a little bit older, like say Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo? Sure, I can see that argument. Maybe even Lowry and Siakam. I'll humor you there. But there's another contender in this conversation, Sabonis and Brogdon. And today we have the Sixers. They're playing at Indiana at 7:30. Historically, I know that we are throwing a lot of the Philadelphia backstory out the window, but this is a roster that has had trouble with Indiana before. And similar to the Utah-Denver game, I'm just kind of interested in how these teams will match up. You see the Pacers are ranging from 1.5 to 2.5 point underdogs. I know that Philadelphia's had a big week, but if you really dissect what makes an NBA team win, and I mean this in terms of creating a statistical model to predict the winner of a basketball team, to predict an NBA All-Star, to predict effective basketball entirely, all those models, you can go poke around towards data science or GitHub or wherever you want. A lot of times they weigh assist to turnover ratio and true shooting percentage more than anything else. And because of that, I'm coming to think that maybe that's the thing that matters most about building a great basketball team. And maybe the layperson sees, oh, the Pacers, they lost Victor Oladipo. But if you look at the splits of who's getting a shot increase in Indiana, you see that Brogdon is always on the border of being a 50, 40, 90 guy. You see that Sabonis is shooting 55% in a legit 20-10 threat on any given night with an amazing inside-outside game that, just sidebar, gives the Sixers fits. And right now, they're eighth in true shooting in the entire NBA, but I think getting rid of Oladipo and scaling up the shots for Brogdon and Sabonis will increase that. And while we're here, we're talking about assist to turnover ratio. Did you know that Indiana has the second best assist to turnover ratio in the NBA? So we're talking 8th best true shooting, and we think it'll improve, and the second best assist to turnover ratio. So given that mathematical backbone, on any given night, a team built around Malcolm Brogdon and I'm not going to say it's Sabonis, is just a mathematically better option to win a game. And I looked at this for the Sixers as well, just to satiate my own curiosity. And Philly, they've got pretty good true shooting, but they're second to the bottom in the NBA in assist to turnover ratio. So they got to improve that, but I still like them long term. And yeah, I'm excited to see them match up. I really want to see how this Sabonis and Brogdon play versus any of the marquee teams in the East. And the Sixers, just to kind of go with this, they're 6-19-1 against the spread. 6-19-1 against the spread in their last 26 against winning opponents on the road. I don't know. I don't think I like that. I like the Pacers getting a couple points. I like Sabonis annihilating his points over. It's probably like 20.5 tonight, so I would go with the over. If you do have any picks, if you do have any player props for this evening, or if you have a favorite number you want me to draw in the Royal Rumble pool, I've got 26. Let me know. I'm here to chat. I've got one more game I want to go through this evening. And yeah, we're taking the Pacers there. We're taking the Nuggets at 3:30 and at 7 o'clock. Or is it 7:30? I can't see. I think next game, Sam. Change the lower third because Magic at Raptors. It's a home game for the Raptors in Florida versus Orlando. We see the Raptors are minus 5.5 point favorites. We see that having followed the NBA this week, neither of these teams had a great 7 days. And that being said, I guess there is the potential for a Terrence Ross explosion. I've seen that sixth man emerge from the ashes of the bench and turn many a game, especially against his former foes, his former team, not current foes, former team. Whoops. But yeah, I think that the Toronto roster should be able to overwhelm Orlando here. I think they're going to start to get their season on track. And I think we know, without a shadow of a doubt, there will be a time in which there's a lot of value in backing Toronto and Miami for a consistent spread of days. There's deep, talented rosters with great coaching, and with the season being how it is, they really need a win. So I expect them to cover the 5.5 against the Magic today. Maybe I'd get frisky, play the money line, but that's not for me. That scares me. Ooh, maybe I tie together the Raptors and the Nets money line. That could be a fun proposition. And if anyone's interested, the Nets have the best true shooting in the NBA right now, and it's not close. I was kind of doubting them, but yeah, it's a pretty big margin. Maybe Jared Allen contributed this. So in conclusion, my picks for tonight, I like the Nuggets over the Jazz to cover the 2.5. I like the Pacers over the Sixers to cover the 2.5. 2 rivalry games. We're back in the home team. You're getting a couple points, and I think you're backing these with an eye towards the future. Even if you lose this bet, watch these games. These are both A-plus basketball teams on both sides right now, and kind of just make a scouting report for yourself to use. Like, if you win in the playoffs, a lot of time that measures up to watching a random game in January, February, and it's 20 degrees here. We're getting dumped on with 18 minutes of snow. So I'm already going to be stuck in my apartment longing for April and May. So I might as well be making my scouting reports for April and May. 18 inches of snow, Sam, not 18 minutes. The only thing there's 18 minutes of is me talking about advanced metrics in the Indiana Pacers. Man, my producer, he's grinding my gears. He must be a watch manufacturer. I knew it was a trouble when he offered me the Swiss job. Oh, he's a graphic designer. Will you pull up your graphic design, Sam? Show him the cover for today's picture. So you see, he made one of my basketball glamour shots. He cut me out, and he put me in front of this cool background. You can see the Freedom Tower behind this, which is cool. But I like this because he cropped out this picture. I was there. Where that photo was taken is the exact same background as the one he put behind it. Come on, Sam. What are you doing? Okay, Styles Morales. What points of interest do you recommend to look at for scouting reports? I like to look at, first of all, the depth. Overall rotation, 9, maybe 8 players if we're a little later in the season, and look how they align. If one team is deeper than the other, I kind of try and pinpoint a second unit score, because a lot of times, especially if a team like Miami during the postseason last year, they were able to just win the second unit battles consistently during the postseason, and that actually came into a lot of play in terms of them covering. So if I'm betting on the game, I think, a lot of times the marquee guys are going to even out. Like Boston, LA, those end of game 5s are going to go at each other pretty well, trading buckets. But in that, I was thinking, Boston's so deep, they're going to keep throwing bodies out there, and they're going to have fresh legs to just kind of adjust and always have people out there. And LA was never able to pull away. So I think looking for a good second unit is key. I think looking at rest is also key. And then you got to look at the injury report and compare that to the opposing teams. Like Orlando, we know that they don't have Isaac, they don't have Markelle Fultz. And if you're going to want the Orlando Magic to guard the Toronto Raptors 1-12, you're going to want Isaac and you're going to want Markelle Fultz out there. They don't have those guys. Where's the identity with Orlando? And on that same side of the coin, Orlando, when they're like a little bit hamstrung, they don't have their full complement of players, they can win games by just throwing it down low to Vucevic. He can score on the block. He can find creators on a tangent. The Vucevic assists over has been one of the best plays consistently over this NBA season. I've been noticing that. But on the other side of the coin, I like Toronto because they can throw Aaron Baines at him. Aaron Baines, I am so happy to see him become a consistent NBA player, because with like watching these games closely, like I started to really watch basketball. I was a Brooklyn Nets season ticket holder, and I would go very early to a lot of the games, especially when the Pistons were in town. And I noticed Aaron Baines works harder than anyone before a game. He practices his footwork, his threes, his hook shots. And against a guy like Vucevic, getting your footwork down is so key. I think he'll be able to frustrate him and won't be able to make his paint. Yeah, Aaron Baines does have a huge fan club. I mean, Tommy Heinsohn, I think he passed away because he was so shocked seeing him in the showers, but he's a nice guy. He's actually got a kind of longer range game than you would anticipate. And all of my problems with him, because I did bitch about him with the Pistons because his hands were bad, he's kind of solved them over time. Hey, Styles, I appreciate you hanging out. I appreciate talking hoops with the good fans. And like, that's why they have me doing this. Like, basketball is my religion. I am here to spread the gospel every single day. And you know what? There's so many great basketball books out there. I think everyone knows Bill Simmons, but if anyone feels like cracking open some David Halberstam, check Amazon. You can get some good stuff for like $6. And also, subscribe to the Props Network on YouTube. We have great stuff going all the time. I stream about the NBA 5 times a week at 2:00. Generally speaking, my days off are Tuesdays and Fridays with that endeavor. If you think we should go a little earlier on weekends, you can tweet them at the Props Network. My girl leaves for work at 12 o'clock on Sunday, so don't ask for before that. Sam's telling me I should write a book. I've been trying to write a book the past month, and it's driving me crazy. So I don't want to do that. I was trying to write a self-help book about all the things the Detroit Lions taught me, and that is okay. Well, I'm going to hang out here for a few more minutes in case anytime you have any questions for tonight's slate. I appreciate the love. And how bad is it for the Celtics if Smart is out longer than 2 weeks? Is it really not bad for the Celtics? Because they had so many first-round picks these past few years, and Peyton Pritchard kind of outplayed his expectations. Like, Romeo Langford's kind of not gotten his minutes this season, and Carson Edwards has been totally forgotten about by that franchise. And I like Brad Stevens when he's back on his heels. And giving, like, your guys at the end of your rotation, that helps you out further on in the season. So I love betting on the Celtics when they're a little banged up. I don't know their game schedule the next few days, but I will be watching them closely. And, Marcus Smart is a great player. He's one of my favorite glue guys, people who do what he do, add so much value to your NBA team, but they still have other horses that I think are going to become competent NBA players. Well, we had fun. I had a good time. I'm going to tune in to that Nuggets game at 3:30. That's an awesome one. I'm going to chase it with Sixers and Pacers at 7:30, and I'm going to follow it with the Royal Rumble. And no, I'm not just watching that much TV. I'm also gambling, and I'm in grad school, so I got a little bit of homework to do today. I'll be doing my homework. I'll be watching games, and I'll be winning bets. I hope you guys do the same. Smash that subscribe button. Until tomorrow, this is Joe Wachowski for the Props Network.